Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. As always, I hope you guys are having an amazing day. And today we have a little bit of a life update for you guys. So this video was actually a request. I'll pop it on the screen now. And as always guys, if you have any questions or anything you want to see content on, please feel free to leave them in the comments. It kind of gives me an idea of what to film. Obviously the point of this channel is to help you guys and provide value to you guys. So if there's anything you guys specifically want me to do videos on, softwares, certain topics, please feel free to leave them in the comments. Now, a lot has happened since my last video where I kind of did a bit of a life update, and I'm just going to run you guys through what happened in that period, where I'm at now, and then kind of the future of the channel and a little bit of advice that I think will help people finishing university. So, if you see my previous video, it was a little bit more slower pace, a little bit more, raw. And I was actually in Manchester after working in sales for quite a while. So I spent about 6 months working in telesales in Manchester, and after a while it really kind of got to me. I didn't necessarily enjoy it, and what I ended up doing was moving back to Portsmouth, where I started a second sales job, and I did that for about 5 months as well, and that was in-person sales. Now, if you see my previous video, when I finished architecture at university, I was really burnt out. I was doing up to 18-hour days, I was really tired, and I kind of was done with architecture. I really lost the passion for it, and that's why I decided to do a full 180 turn and try something new. Now, the reason I went into sales, hopefully you'll be able to see it through these videos, but the reason I wanted to go through sales was to improve my communication. I wanted to learn how to articulate myself, how to speak clearly, and I thought there's no better way to learn this than in a sales job. Now, I myself, I would say I'm not a salesman, but I would say I'm quite good at selling, just given my experience and just given how hard and how much effort I was putting into my job. But that was the previous year, and now I'm actually in Southampton, and what am I doing now? I'm actually working in industry. So, my current job, I work in a precast concrete company, and my title is Designer Estimator. So, precast concrete technology is something I've actually recently become really interested in, and I wanted to learn more, and that was why I secured this job. Also, it allows me to kind of delve back into that architecture route. Now, I'm not working at something like a design firm, I'm not an architect. My company is simply a middleman. Now, my role is titled Designer Estimator, and I'm specializing in Hollowcore. So what is Hollowcore? Hollowcore is a type of concrete slab, most likely with reinforcement in, so some kind of pre-stressed steel, and it is either extruded outwards using concrete, or it is liquid cast concrete that when it hardens is a prefabricated piece of material. So what we can then do is we can cast all of the slabs for a certain building for the first floor off-site in a manufacturing plant that's optimized to create this material, and then when it's set we can put it on a lorry and we can deliver it to site and simply crane it on top of the building. So it enables us to put structures up significantly faster, and to be honest, this technology of precast is used in pretty much all large buildings, I would say. I've only been in this job for about a month, and I actually secured this job at a company that was not hiring. I will be doing a second video on how I actually secured this job, because the director of the company has actually told me they were not currently looking for anyone, but given they liked my attitude, they've offered me a job and created me one. I'm going to be doing a separate video on that and how I advise students to kind of differentiate themselves and get jobs in industry, because I do think it's quite hard nowadays. Before I explain to you what I do as my job as an estimator, I first need to kind of explain the structure of how a building is made in the UK. So, most likely you'll have your client at the top. Now, the client doesn't go directly to the suppliers. What they do is they hire a main contractor, an MC. The MC is the top of the chain. Now, a main contractor can either have their own staff that can do works. For example, they might have a team of plumbers, a team of brickies that can lay bricks for walls, or what they do is they will subcontract out all of the work. So all a contract is it's, a piece of paper that says you're doing this work for us. It's an agreement. So the client has an agreement with the main contractor. The main contractor oversees the full design process from the start all the way to the finish and the handoff back to the client. But the main contractor's job is to ensure everything goes smoothly. They get a good cut of money, but they also take all of the responsibility. So it's the main contractor's job to chase up everyone else to ensure the building is completed to time, to budget, and just essentially without too much stress. So, as I mentioned, the main contractor could have their own team of staff doing jobs, but for things like precast or Hollowcore, it's very specialized work. And what they will do is they'll do something called subcontracting out to a company like ourselves. So as a company, we do design, supply, and fix. So what we do is we have our own communications with the manufacturers. So a lot of the Hollowcore work is done bespoke, and we will design where the slabs need to go, how they're going to be cut up, what kind of spec you need. You might need a denser concrete. We might need to do something called a strand uplift where we put more steel in because you've got large areas you're trying to cover. So we do all of this. It's more the expertise side. And then what we also do is we also have cranes and team of contractors that can go and install the work. So we come in very specifically at a certain part in the construction process, and it's when the main shell of the structure is being built, and then we give it back, and that's our job done. So my job as an estimator is essentially working out general quotes. So what a main contractor will do is they will put out something called tenders. What a tender is it's essentially a bid for work. So they will give out tenders to many different companies, many different contractors, and what they will do is they will ask for pricing, and then what they'll do is they'll collate all those prices and choose who they want to go to as their supplier. Now the company I work at, as I said, is able to differentiate themselves because we not only are in touch with the supplier, so can organize the slab orders, we can also design how they need to be laid out to fulfill certain criteria, and we can also install it. So the company I work at is quite a small company, but it's very specialized, and they kind of provide a service that is quite unique on the market, which is how they set themselves apart. So in my day-to-day job, what I will be receiving is I'll receive emails saying we'd like to invite you to tender. Here are all of the plans. Now I will be given some or all of architects' plans, structural engineers' plans, building surveys, site plans, work schedules, all of this kind of thing. Basically, the more information they give us, the easier it makes my job. But sometimes I am asked to give a full quote of just some basic architect's plans, which don't necessarily have a lot of details in. Now, a lot of this is very heavy stuff, and I will be doing more videos in the future to kind of explain, because a lot of this is very technical, and I'm hoping to do more videos on stuff in industry. So the two key plans that I want to receive as an estimator are the architect's plans and the engineer's plans. So the architect's plans give you the information of things like sizes. We do precast stairs and precast slabs, which is what I quote up. So I'll be looking at the architect's plans to see what they specify as the stair rises, the goings, where we might need landing pieces. I also look at the area and say, this is the area we need to cover, what kind of slabs do we need? And then where I will look at the structural engineers is it will be the second half. It will be the technical side, where it will be a map of where steels are in the building, where all the masonry is, where I'm actually going to put the slabs. Now we have something called bearing. What bearing is essentially resting. So when we say this slab is bearing onto the wall, it means the wall is here and this slab is resting on top of the wall. Now we also need to ensure that this bearing is big enough to support the slab. Say you have a brick wall which is 100 mil thick, and then we have a slab resting on top of it. We need to know that that bearing is strong enough to support the rest of the slab. For example, if we then have a 9-meter gap and the slab's 9 meters long sat on top, then that's going to put a lot of stress in the middle of the slab, and that might not necessarily be possible. Some of the designs I see on a day-to-day are really ambitious, and some of them just defy the laws of physics, to be honest. So in my company, as I said, this Hollowcore and precast technology is mainly used on a larger scale. So the smallest scale I kind of see are large property developments where they're building, 30, 40 dwellings, and they want to do all the first floors really quickly. Or something like a large mansion. That's kind of the smallest scale I do. And then we go all the way up to massive residential homes where they're, 5-6 stories, 20 rooms a floor, and I have to work out loads of different aspects, things like where is ventilation going, if you have a toilet pipe, if you've got something called an SVP, it's called a soil ventilation pipe. This is one of the pipes that's connected to toilet, and the V, ventilation, means that that pipe goes all the way to the top floor and, gets ventilation that way. Something like that, I have to then consider into my work. Are we going to need holes cut in this slab? How's that going to affect the structural integrity of this hollow core slab? Essentially, there is a lot of different aspects that go into this job, and I will be explaining a little bit more in depth on Hollowcore technology and precast technology in another video. Now, the firm I am working at is a relatively small firm. In the actual office, there is only about 12 people working there. It's quite a small firm, and there is a reason I've picked a slightly smaller firm. The reason being is if you go for a really large company, a really large firm, you end up becoming a very specialized cog in a very complex machine. You master your job, but you never really get to see the rest of the process. Now, the reason I've chosen a smaller company is although you take a pay cut, you may not earn as much as the larger companies. What you end up benefiting is you get to see a larger scale of work. So not only am I doing the estimating and designing, if I ask, I'm also able to go see the projects get installed on site. I'm able to visit manufacturers. I'm able to see general things like crane team working out where all the crane's going to go. I get to work out logistics, I get to see a massive side of the business, and for me it's really interesting, and I find that the slight pay cut you might take is actually worth all the knowledge that I'm learning and how much I'm benefiting. What is my recommendation for other people that are in my situation? So for me, as I said, after finishing university, I was really burnt out and I just felt like I needed a break. For those of you that are feeling that way when you finish university, I think it's a really good idea to take a break, maybe explore a different area, something else you're interested in, get a job in a different career. Does not need to be a permanent thing. You could do it for a year, half a year, something just to kind of allow you to breathe. As I mentioned, after I finished architecture at university, I was really burnt out and kind of lost the love for it. And then when I was in sales, I actually found that I started to find interest in architecture again. I found myself watching more architecture YouTube videos. I found myself exploring more designs and looking into different things in just the general construction industry, ultimately leading me back in. When you finish your university degree, whether that be bachelor's or master's, if it's a master's level, you're pretty much set, you're ready to go into industry. But if you're at a bachelor's level and you're kind of unsure if architecture is still the right route for you, to be honest, I feel like if you've managed to survive an entire degree in architecture, given how stressful it is and how difficult it is, you definitely do have some kind of passion. So maybe it might not be pure architecture, but maybe it might be worth looking around in the industry. For me, I've found the construction industry significantly more interesting to me. I like that it's not theoretical. The stuff I'm dealing with is actually getting built and I can go see the finished product. Whereas when you're an architect, a lot of the designs you're going to be doing, especially in the UK, are going to be slightly simpler. You're going to be doing housing extensions, things like conservatories, just because the nature of the work. Not many people have a lot of money to invest into architecture, especially given the current economy, but the people that do have the money are the massive developments, the big properties, the nursing homes, and I get to see all of that. So I get to see a number of different interesting designs, different builds, and ultimately you learn so much just through osmosis of being exposed to all of this stuff. Now guys, as always, hopefully you found this video informative, hopefully you found it helpful. I am hoping to do a little bit more content on the actual Hollowcore and precast industry. I also want to walk you guys through the kind of structural and engineer plans that I do receive. I'm just currently waiting on the director and the companies to approve that for me to share it. As always guys, hope you've enjoyed this video and I'll catch you in another one. Click here to subscribe and click here to check out my last video update where I was in Manchester working sales.